Only on NBC5 News, we are continuing our investigation into Lyme disease, a debilitating disease carried by ticks.
The Centers for Disease Control says they receive nearly 30,000 reported cases of Lyme every year in the U.S.
But doctors say the disease is preventable. NBC5's Kyle Averman joins us with more. Kyle.
Yesterday, we took an in-depth look into Lyme disease, a tick-borne illness. Once bit, the bacteria in the disease can affect your skin, joints, and nervous system. And while Oregon doesn't have as many cases as the Northeast, the threat is still here, with Jackson and Josephine County among the highest in the state.
She came all the way from Washington.
Once a month, this group of citizens, most of whom are diagnosed with Lyme disease or know someone who is, gather at the Smolin Center in Medford to share their stories and talk about how Lyme is impacting them.
We definitely need to be counted. This is how people in Oregon are going to know that there's a lot of people with Lyme disease.
The monthly discussions are led by Eagle Point resident Sharon Lee. Not only is she a retired nurse who has studied Lyme, but she's also been diagnosed with it.
I've had Lyme disease for 36 years. I never saw a tick. I did have the characteristic bullseye rash. Never knew what it was because this was way back in 1978.
It took Lee 20 years to be diagnosed with Lyme. Testing positive for the disease is difficult as the bacteria can mutate and impacts everyone differently. And with strict guidelines from the Centers for Disease Control and few resources here in Oregon,
what our members of our support group have to do is they have to go to California to get tested. And most of them have to go to California to see a doctor in some cases. And so all of the testing that's done out of state is not counted in Oregon.
Despite that, the number of diagnoses in Oregon has gradually grown since the 1980s.
I do think it's getting worse. The ticks are changing and they're picking up more infections, and I think we're living in their yard. We're going out and recreating in their area, and we're moving our homes into their area, and so we're picking it up.
There were 42 confirmed diagnoses of Lyme disease in 2013, according to the Oregon Health Authority.
They are higher in this part of the state.
David Candelaria is the medical director for Josephine County's Department of Public Health and says Southern Oregon is a hotbed for ticks that carry Lyme.
In 2013, Josephine and Jackson County accounted for 43% of the cases of Lyme disease reported in the state.
And Candelaria believes the area's diverse geography is a paradise for ticks.
It probably has more to do with a kind of micropopulation of the bacteria and the ticks it lives on, particular to this little corner of the state.
And Lee agrees.
I think it's the terrain. I think it's cooler temperatures, probably more deer.
While there has never been any documented cases of a human contracting Lyme through the handling or consumption of deer, they do often get blamed for the spread of Lyme because of how many ticks they carry.
The other thing about ticks is they like moisture. So anywhere along the rivers, along canals, streams, they'll congregate.
While Southern Oregon may have the most Lyme cases in the state, getting the disease is preventable by simply using caution while outside.
Wear light-colored clothing, use insect repellent. DEET is a good insect repellent.
Ticks can be found in your front yard. Oak tree leaves are one of their favorites.
So don't let your dogs run in that. Don't let your kids run in the leaf litter. And try to get that bagged up and put away right away.
And should you find a tick on you, Lee says it's best not to kill it.
Remove it carefully. You don't want to squeeze it or burn it or twist it or do anything like that because you could actually cause it to regurgitate more of its bacteria into your system.
There are kits available that will help not only remove the tick, but also test to see if it's carrying Lyme bacteria. While testing is not something most would ever think to do, Lee says it is a small price to pay to avoid a potentially lifelong disease.
Ticks are known as the sewers of the bug world. To get bitten by a tick is no longer a simple thing. It can be life-changing.
Now, to find out more about Lyme disease or how to get in touch with the support group, you can visit our website. That's KOBI5.com. In the studio, Kyle Averman, NBC5 News.